How is it that a majority of students have beautiful plans for the future, yet are constantly on a detoured path in achieving their goals? The students I see in my high school are all success bound. The only real difference is how success is interpreted by each individual. A GPA should never define a person and his or her capabilities. Until people take the time to actually observe the significant amount of potential that students at my high school have, then we can really break that statistic.
A program to bring first-time home buyers, bring them to Anaheim to invest here. So I think.
All right. So first off, thank you for joining me, Dr. Corral. I know you have other things you could be doing, so thank you. So, what was last year's statistics of kids at Anaheim High School in terms of A through G eligibility?
35%, which I consider low. I would love for it to be 100% of our students that earn A through G because we have very smart kids. It's multifaceted. It's not just one problem, there's multiple issues. One is grades, because you need a C or better. Many of our seniors pass their grades. They have their classes to graduate, but they tend to only earn a D or to do the minimum of what's necessary for them to pass the class to graduate. And another piece of that is also the graduation versus the Cal State UC requirements. So for instance, to graduate from high school, you only need 2 years of science. And to enter into a 4-year or Cal State to be A through G compliant, you have to have 3 years of a lab science. So that right there is another obstacle that we struggle. So those factors are what's keeping our students. When we had the research done, we had an outside company come in and do the research. And for Anaheim, it was the world languages and the science that was an obstacle for our students completing A through G. We work at trying to have the students complete that third year of science or to complete that world language requirement, but it still continues to be an obstacle because by the time they're a senior, they just want to be done. And they want to drop that at second semester, they sometimes want to come and drop that last science class because they just want to graduate and go to maybe a community college. It's not that they don't want to go to a 4-year, but they want to maybe go to a 2-year and then transfer.
First off, thank you for joining me, Mr. Matsuda. First question, so in terms of A through G compliancy, what do you feel are some of the barriers that we face in our district, and what are some steps to overcome this, or what are some of the policies the district has put into place to help students thrive academically?
Okay, so A through G in Anaheim Union High School District is a big challenge. We're about 39% as opposed to Orange County being close to 50%. And there are some schools like Anaheim High School that we are concerned about because our numbers have gone down a little bit. And some of the things that we're looking at in terms of barriers is that, you know, on the east side of our district we have a lot of homeless population. In fact, out of 30,000 kids, we have about 4,200 students who are technically homeless, meaning they're sleeping in church floors or they're sleeping in friends' places or in motels. And this is a big problem, a big barrier to getting more kids college ready. The other piece we're looking at, though, is things like grading, because when you have a lot of homeless and a lot of distressed students, you're going to have problems turning things in on time. So we're having to really educate our teaching staff on what does it mean to be homeless in Anaheim. And it's not like it was 20 years ago where you had a very small population. Now it's a big population. So I think a lot of staff development on challenges of being in poverty, being an English learner, being an immigrant or a refugee, are big challenges for an urban district like Anaheim Union.
So I came to this country when I was 6 years old, and I was supposed to go into the second grade, but since I didn't know the language, I was back down to first grade. It was hard for me then because my parents didn't know the language, obviously, and I was the oldest. So when I started school, I remember I would cry every day, so my parents wouldn't take me, but of course they still did. I would get homework, and the only way I was able to complete it or get through it was with a bilingual dictionary. So every single word I had to look, or my parents helped me look it up, and then we would translate it to Spanish until we were able to like translate everything and then do it all again to do it in English. So then first grade was just hard, very, very hard. Third grade came, and that's when I moved to Horseman. And third grade was the year that I started learning the language. I was able to speak it with, my peers, my teachers. It was like fresh. And so that was elementary. I just kept going. First, second, and third grade were the toughest ones because that's when I was starting to learn. That's when I was introduced to the language. Fourth grade was when I was like, yeah, I know how to really speak it and talk and read. And then afterwards, 10th grade, I started taking an honors class, which was English, and I mostly did it because I knew I needed to improve my English. School has been always important to me, but once I started high school was when things started getting real. It's high school and then college. My parents, they always talk to me about what their life was like in Mexico. My dad wanted to be a mechanical engineer. My mom wanted to be a teacher.
I had the chance to join an organization, the Anaheim Bros. I always talk very fondly of them just because it's what kind of changed my life for the better. And I was able to join this all-male organization, and I've talked to you a lot about before. It's to establish 2009. I know its set goal was to increase the amount of Chicano Latinos at the 4-year level, but not only increase that number, but make sure that they stay there, make sure that they don't drop out, and make sure that they have the skills, whether that was the academic or soft skills necessary to stay there and to succeed, and to even then when they leave, still find success, whatever that may be. And for me, I'm glad that I was able to join kind of now where Bros was at the time, because it shifted its mentality in the sense of how do we get our guys to college, how do we get our guys to the university, to the UCs, the Cal States, to how do we get our guys to succeed. I remember I was getting my haircut not too long ago, and that's what the barber went to first was, what do you like about your school? Because my daughter's gonna be going into high school, and immediately I asked, is your daughter gonna be going to the Anaheim School District? And he said yes. And I asked, is she gonna be going to Anaheim High School? And he said maybe. So I let him know that just like me, her daughter's gonna be introduced into an environment where really whatever the student's passion may be, he or she's going to find an outlet. In my experience, Anaheim's always been this inclusive environment where it's nothing stopping you from being an AP student, an honor student, being part of the chess club, going to the robotics team meetings, anything like that. So I feel like, whatever the student may want to see in their school, whatever the student may want their passion, or how, to see their environment reflect their passion, I feel like they're going to find that at Anaheim.
Come on. I want next year you to commit to one club. Brian, I think you love
It's interesting. I've never been to a law school like this and having an opportunity to learn from lawyers. So I think it was cool the way they put the kids into it, just because I know that, especially when you're put in a lecture hall and you're being lectured, it's going to be really boring. But I mean, I think they took a really cool approach to it, made it all Jeopardy style. And now, which one are we on? Really, what time does it start? We should probably go to the other one.
So Dr. Jose Moreno, as a college professor, tell me about some of the things that you see your students struggling the most with.
Transition. They struggle a lot with transition. They are often the first in their family to go to college. They're balancing the transition of the academics, independence in the academics, family life, work life, because a lot of them work to put themselves through school or to help their families. So that's a struggle. Most of them commute from home, and many of them it's a pretty healthy commute of half an hour each way, sometimes an hour. Last year I had a student that commuted from Coachella Valley every day. Couldn't afford to live near the campus, and was also responsible for taking, and they're often not just that student, but a lot of the students are responsible for their siblings or for a grandparent, and so their parents are working, and so they're part of the responsibility of the household. So that's a really difficult space, and they often, because of all that, they don't spend as much time as I'm sure they'd like on campus to fully maximize the intellectual opportunities on campus via research, events, speakers, lecture series. So they don't get a chance to connect deeply to the academic experience. So they might actually do really well in school, but they often don't connect at all to the campus. So they don't learn about opportunities for graduate school or maybe some career opportunities. So I think the campus tries to do as much as it can, but the resources are very limited.
Your eyes. From your eyes to 2 hours.
Really?
You should close up your eyes. Oh my.
And the constant, it would be like...
It's not constant at all, right?
So it's decreasing from negative infinity to positive infinity.
I remember I was struggling and I was doing good, but then I was struggling and I wasn't really showing the potential I have and the confidence I have. I was very blessed with all the help with tutoring, with college, and knowing where I'm going to go and taking the right classes and going for me to take the right steps. I met a lot of new friends. You meet so many people that you never knew had the same ambitions and the same future as you, so I think that opened my mind a little bit.
Generally, when I think about Anaheim, it's, well, of course, I'll just go back to before I went into Anaheim. I started hearing things about its trademark name, not Anaheim, but Anacrime, and this was a pretty intimidating, nickname for a school.
from what I've known, it had a history of violence and all that such. But as soon as I got there, I mean, it was completely different. It's not exactly what you expect it to be, and a crime. It was Anaheim High School, and I mean the people were nice. Sure, at times you might come across someone that might look intimidating, you know, having that gangster vibe, I like to say, but I mean, once you get to know them, they're not that bad. I mean, it all comes back to my idea that everyone's a person no matter what. You can always have that one-to-one connection. It's not the demographics, or it's not the different backgrounds. We can all still come together, and that's what I think Anaheim has done. A large percentage of the students at Anaheim being Hispanic, that doesn't mean that we're all the same. We all have different backgrounds, but we still have that way of coming together as colonists.
I'm involved in Anaheim High School wrestling, and I'm also involved in Anaheim High School photo club. I am chairman of union. I'm part of photo, wrestling, and key club. I think we're all a long time ago part of wrestling here.
Wait, raise your hand if you're in wrestling. Wait, when was the last time you guys got a champion?
Never. Last year. We got Orange League champions.
Yeah, last year.
Orange League. Nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to get CIF this year.
Join the Army.
The Army?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, the Army Rangers.
Oh, okay. What do you like about the Army that made you want to join?
I don't know. I just wanted to.
Oh.
Just cause? Yeah. I went.
I'm actually joining the Air Force too, but I like piloting.
We actually went to a meeting. We went to a meeting about Marines because we were actually going to join, and they said I'm too fat, so I had to.
My name is Al Jabbar. I'm a trustee for Anaheim Union High School District. And I migrated to this country in 1996 when I was 17 years old. I've been almost 17. And when I came here, as any immigrant does, you know, I was kind of very new to me in terms of culture shock, in terms of the system, education system, in terms of meeting different people. All my life I grew up in Sri Lanka, so everything was new. I didn't have anybody to guide me through my education goals. So I always say, my joke was that you know, I didn't know what counselor was. I came in and I came with my parents, and I decided, okay, well, the best thing is let me start with a school down the street, and went to Cypress College. That kind of took me through in terms of, after I finished my bachelor's and my master's, I came back to Anaheim. Well, I was living in Anaheim, but I decided, you know what, I want to give back to my community that I live in, and ended up getting involved in small organizations. But as a result, obviously, education was a passion of mine. Once you see and organizing these neighborhoods, you see that neighborhoods which are struggling had, you know, kids who would actually talk about how boring school was, or how school was not interesting for them. And by that time, by 2010, I had also started working for the Orange County jail system, or healthcare agency, but I worked inside the jails. And I saw some of the kids who were the juvenile system, who basically would, when you see them, they're nice kids, and you end up asking questions, and you figure out that, wow, they did some bad stuff that our students go through in our system, because most of us probably struggled through in terms of guidance, in terms of the resources. Eventually got appointed to the high school district. And it gave me the opportunity to see the needs that our kids have. And just because it's in my blood to advocate, I started asking these tough questions of, how are we spending the resources, and how are we giving access to these kids? And I think we've made some strides from the time that I've been appointed. We have a new superintendent who has basically done a lot of good work to give opportunities for our students in our communities. We have the Anaheim Innovative Mentorship Program. We have a opportunity for our kids to civically engage. We have a serve-a-thon project where we give opportunities for our kids to serve the community. And then the reason that those are important is because it gives them the opportunity to own what's theirs, pretty much their community, and give back to the community and get a sense of ownership, which allows them to have that drive to not only advocate for themselves but advocate for others, which results in, it's my firm belief that once you get kids or our students getting more active and involved, it allows them to make the community better, stronger, and push each other to be better. As a result, we're going to get a generation of students who are literally going to not only look out for each other, but be successful and be college bound or career tech bound, whichever their interest is, to be successful and come back and serve the community. And that's what I'm very proud of in terms of what we've accomplished in our school district so far. We have a lot more work to do.
At a score of 83.0, a 3.0 Anaheim.
Our drum line just broke an 80 and got third out of all of the schools. Woo!
my full name. I'm in the 11th grade. I'm a junior here at Anaheim High School, and I believe that something I'm very passionate about is music and sciences. Music can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. It's my escape way of expressing things that I can't say with words. I'm also part of the Anaheim High School band, so for me being able to play an instrument, it also helps me, I guess in the way, playing through my instrument is me speaking the words that I can't speak with the way that I'm feeling. So that's always been a huge contribution as to why I'm so passionate about music.
And started high school, I was a little bit worried of joining band just because I wasn't too sure if I really wanted to continue or not. But I ended up doing it, and I don't regret it one bit. You know, that's where I met a majority of my friends. That's where I created relationships with people, you know, friendships, those that bond that a lot of people can't, you know, can relate just because yes, some just go to school and work on their studies, whereas with band, you're like you have something else to worry about.
Thank you for joining me in my lovely home. I know you have other things you could be doing, but you chose to come here and I really appreciate it.
I guess I could be sleeping because I live here. But, so, my name is Tucker Shokir. I'm a junior at Anaheim High School. I am in band. I play the trombone and the piano. And I am homeless. What I find unique about my situation is that I have all these friends who are so willing to help despite whether they're able to.
Being able to give them a life that they wish they could have given me. You know, I want to grow and I want to make them proud of who I've become and who they've raised as a young adult and as an adult. And I believe that what keeps me going is always picturing my family with a new house, with a new car, and seeing that my family can live a better life because I was always motivated to give them a better life.
Seeing my parents struggle growing up, my dad, he always had more than one job, trying to, you know, provide for us, provide for all of us. Just even though it was just a family of four, myself, my sister, and my mom, and him, we just still needed the money because, you know, that's like one of the important things you need in life, money. Even though people say, oh, money doesn't give you happiness. Like, yeah, they're wrong. Like, money helps with happiness, but you need it to survive. Whoever says otherwise, yes.
They couldn't pursue their education because of money. So one of the reasons as to why we came to this country was so that my siblings and I would be able to have the freedom to choose to be someone who we wanted to be, not necessarily just having to work, you know, like in the fields or just a random job. So education is very important to me because it opens up many doors to you.
I mean, it's important. When things are easy or free completely, then and you don't struggle for them, they may not be as meaningful when you achieve them.
So she liked going to Italy and France and Germany to kind of visit the old sites. And then the pendant is my father's. He got it. It was one of the few things he brought over with him when he immigrated to the country. Always thought he'd pawn it off or something in case he was ever in a need for money. Informing them, telling them that, you know, they can do it because they really can. And that's been my motivation, to be that person. Because if they can't find that at home, if they can't find that at school, if they can't find that at church or anywhere else, if it's not me directly, it's something that I did indirectly, whether it be help out at a school function or school event, maybe with an elementary schools and have kids, elementary school kids, and have one of them come up to me and ask them why there's a high school volunteer, and me just simply telling them it's because I want to help. Hopefully they see that as something. Hopefully at least once in my high school, my 4 years in high school, I served as that support system, as that inspiration for one of those kids who always felt like they couldn't do anything to feel like they can do everything.
Now for that, until recently I wouldn't have had a definitive answer, something to say to a question like that. Put a lot of thought into it, and the short answer is hope. And that doesn't mean I hope for something to happen, but it's hope in the sense that I know that it will get better, but of course I don't know when or how. Living without my parents, them being in a homeless encampment, I've been sort of in charge of my brothers. I find that my situation is so unique because of the people in my life that I have who help me. Being homeless is considered by many people an embarrassment, that people are ashamed of having little money or no shelter, or maybe a parent is in jail, or any sort of thing like that. When it comes to me, I'm not afraid to say that I'm homeless, and I am living with a friend in his house, because I don't have one. Now, I said I put a lot of thought into it, but maybe not enough, but hey, Izzy.